All right, you're good, Tobe.
Then Bud will bring you in. So anyways, here we are, take two for the night. Run through our sponsors as always. Bottom up this time, not that it makes any difference. Lumber Lounge and Garage, Benz Racing with Shane and Snow. I know Shane Snow was listening to the first show, but he's probably doing his own show now.
Shane Snow Giddings?
Don't hang up on our show to go listen to Shane's. Watch his tomorrow. Or you can probably catch his later. But anyways, Hero Haven for everything they do for the vets, first responders, lining up the Hero of the Night at Huset's. That was a neat thing we did this year. Heartland Hardware and Appliance, Brandon, South Dakota, George and Hayward in Iowa. I think they even sell bedding mattresses up in Brandon now. Fulkins Brothers Trucking for everything they do for us and for racing throughout the country. Kaiser Aluminum Wheels, Be Wiser by Kaiser. Turn 2 Lodge down in Knoxville. Just like it says, there's a place to stay right outside of Turn 2. Houston Speedway, season's over, but they're already doing things for next year. S2F, start to finish, another streaming service with Power I, Port City, several other races that they cover. They got 10, 12 races, I think, every weekend. My Race Pass, got to get it, people. If you're into racing, you got to have My Race Pass. Morning Sun Marketplace out in central Pennsylvania with Rick and Sue Fritz. Walked through that thing last summer. It's amazing.
You could still be walking.
Yeah, I know I could have went back through and seen everything I missed the first time and continue on from there. But anyways, Mount Tabor Cabinetry with Chris Fissel out in central Pennsylvania. Look him up for a remodel, a new build, whatever. Rapid Graphics in Rock Rapids. Get your cars lettered, get some signs made. Hawk Wings in Jackson, Minnesota. Pretty much I think they'll build you a wing for whatever you want to race. And your turn, Bud.
Hey, with Togie's Garage, take two tonight, and we have two-time national IMCA Race Saver champion, Lee Goos Jr. How you doing?
Good. How about you guys?
How about that for an intro, Lee?
That was nice.
And I'm just going to say, I don't even see where you had it written down.
No, I didn't. That all came from my memory right
that's
there.
That's impressive right there.
I don't know if I said it right, but I tried to speak like I knew what I was talking about.
Hey, that's all. My motto in life: if you can't dazzle them with brilliance, you baffle them with bullshit. So I do a lot of baffling.
Oh, so how you doing tonight, Lee?
Good.
Good.
Can't complain. Just doing a little work on the car, just figuring out some stuff on the motors for next year. That way.
There you go. Already planning for next year. That a boy.
Yeah. Yep. Some of the motors I was running were getting quite a few shows on them. So.
Well, didn't the one have like 49 shows on it or something?
No, that red one we ran at Rocky. In fact, I think the last race on it, 60, upper 60s in shows. We won that last race on it. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I'd say that's got enough shows on it. You might want to consider getting it looked at.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, it was actually both the motors we ran last year in the 305 class anyways. That was Craig Myers, the one that freshened them last time. So can't complain. They both run good, and they've run for a long time with no issues.
Yeah, absolutely. Durable. So
yeah, yep. And Craig does a ton of motors, and gosh, most of the big shows we go to, a lot of them are Myers that are up front.
Yeah, that's Myers Racing Engines, right? Is what the company
Correct.
is.
Yep.
Is that out of
Belleville? Geez, I think 8 out of 10 cars there are Myers. Seems like.
Yeah.
You get more into his country there. When you get into Kansas, that's where he's from, Ness City, Kansas. So a ton of the Myers motors when you get down into Kansas.
Sure.
Okay.
His home turf.
I was gonna guess he was from Oklahoma, but he's from Kansas.
Yeah, Ness City, Kansas. So it's the other end of the state, the west side of, kind of the central western side of Kansas. So it's a ways from here.
Yeah. Well, everything's kind of a ways from here.
Kind of out in the middle of nowhere, really. When you get there, there's nothing really there.
Just Myers Racing Engines.
Right.
Oh.
Nest City's claim to fame.
Yep, absolutely.
So, maybe just go back to the spring, Lee. You're the defending 305 champ, starting out a new season. Run us through some of the highs and lows of the year.
Yeah, season started out real well. Actually, we went down to Eagle for the first time for a regular show. We'd only ever been there once back in 23, and then went there a couple times before the season started. Since their season starts earlier, took just one of our cars from last year. It felt good, so we ended up top fives every night we showed up there. Didn't get a win down there, but we went there 3 times and top 5 every time. And so that made us feel good. And then we went into the season, the first races at I-90, we won right away. Ran strong quick, and then was having a good season going until about mid-season. The driver started getting impatient, I guess you could say. And some of the races, IMCA, you're inverted. And I'd get impatient, or I'd see the leader getting away, so I would do a couple moves that I probably knew better than I should have, and end up DNFing on quite a few races, really, that would have had good finishes. And so I think I had 7 DNFs for the year. So that really hurt. So that kind of made me nervous at the end of the year as far as the championship goes. So you start looking, and if I'd have just finished races, a couple of them I was in second, but I was determined to win them, and then DNF as opposed to just taking the second. So that really hurts. And another one at Hartford that I really screwed up on. I was in turn 4 and caught a lap car coming to the checker flag. So I can see the checker flag, and I caught a lap car, took me off the track and put me in the wall. So the only good thing that came out of that is my boy was running second, so he got the win.
Look for the positive.
So I kind of knew it because I seen on the board I knew he was running second. So that was the only thing that made me not feel as bad about that night. But yeah, talk about feeling stupid though. When you see the checker flag and you don't make it to it, yeah, for no reason. And my dad is like, "What are you doing? You had a good lead. There was no reason. Why didn't you just slow down?" I was like, "You don't know what kind of lead you got." Yeah. It was just impatient.
That's kind of like thinking the white flag was a checkered flag. It's kind of an oops like that once in a while.
Yeah, I kind of like to forget about that one.
Jeez, Tobe, I'm like freaking stabbing him.
So, yeah, I think it was a heat race, so that saved me. So, yeah, Rocky does things a little different. He puts the white up there, and in the heat race, you're looking into the sun, so you can't see very good anyway. And he puts the white up there with 2 to go, but he doesn't completely put it out. Well, I knew we had a good lead, and I thought maybe that we were, coming up on lap cars, it was a little slow to get it out. So I seen the white out there, coming around, and looking into the sun, I just assumed, I knew I had a good lead, so it's like, well, I shut my sunblow valve off to cool it down a little bit, a couple things. Figured it was a checker. So I started shutting it down, I rolled the scale. As I'm rolling into the scale on the backstretch, here goes second and third, go flying by wide open, and I'm like, what the hell? That's when it kind of clicked, that I was like, wait a minute here. So, yeah, I'm sitting at the scale as they're going around taking the check. So that wasn't a good night. That was a heat race. But I think we salvaged, what did we get out of that? Second place, I think.
I think you did.
Yeah.
I think you came a long ways.
Yeah.
So
I had to throw that out there.
We made it back up to the front, but it took, it could have been a win possibly, who knows, but took that chance and made it pretty hard.
Yeah. I'm thinking by the next time I see Lee, maybe he'll forget I threw that out there because I'm not going to make it to the postseason party. So.
Yeah, I've never done it again. And then, one time I just went an extra lap for no reason, just cooled down and then they're yelling at me, the checker's out, race is over. It's like, well, no, I get it. Making up my extra lap from earlier in the season.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, that was out at Rocky. Them races, in fact, don't count.
No, they're not IMCA over there, no.
Yeah, can you explain that a little bit? Because maybe even, us that follow you really well, we get really confused on what does count, what doesn't count. Where do you have to go to actually make, races that do count?
Yeah, so they got to be race savers sanctioned. And, pretty much every 305 race you go to almost is a race saver sanctioned race, besides Belleville Nationals. That one's not. Started because you're not allowed to have a race that pays more than Race Saver Nationals that's at Eagle.
Okay.
And they were a higher paying race, so then they weren't allowed to be Race Saver sanctioned for that race. Well, their series that they run, the URSS, that's all their races are sanctioned, just that one race is not.
Okay.
Which now Eagle Nationals pays just as much or more, but they still aren't sanctioned for the Belleville Nationals. And then Rocky's not. They claim, I was talking to Darren yesterday in fact, and he said that, they told him that the markets, they don't want to oversaturate the market around here. Well, there is nobody that races Friday night. There's nobody within, I don't even think there's anybody within 300 miles, that I know of that races on a Friday night for Race Saver. But they run the same rules package, and they, everything we do is the same thing. But, like I said, they use the same rules, and you got the sealed motors. They're even checking for the seals. So if it did, it would have been easy because then we would have had a lot more. We would have been ahead right away and won the points really easy or comfortable without having to be kind of nervous at the end of the year. Yeah.
So, I have a general idea, and I'm not going to try to explain it. I'll screw up. So how do the points work for the national title?
So you can only run up to 40 shows. They take your best 20 out of your first 40 shows.
Okay.
So if you run more than 40, at that point, nothing's going to count. Just to try to make it a little bit more fair for people that don't have the opportunity to run as many shows, I'm sure.
Yep.
Especially up north here, our season's a little shorter than some of them that are further south. But yeah, so they take your best 20. So my DNFs, but the big thing with having them DNFs and Rocky not counting and racing, basically I-90 is what we were racing. And that only gave us, I don't remember, it's 15 or 16 shows by the end of the year. So having the one where I basically DNF when my boy won, and I had one other bad night that I had some misfortune with the car, but you're short quite a few races. So we went to Houston a few times, which that didn't help. A little bit. 6 races and 3 of them were DNF. So, first, second, third, and the other 3 we got just tangled up in some stupid stuff. The one night Jared's car broke. A buddy of ours, Jared Jansen, when a yellow came out, his car broke and he shot up the track, and he kind of got into the wall, but got into me before he got into the wall. Luckily, I was still able to continue. Just the rims were bent up and stuff a little bit, but the other nights we just got. Guy was trying to pull in the pits and caught us during the A feature and flipped us over. Another accident, like I said, that we got tangled up in, and just wrong place, wrong time, really.
Yeah, racing.
Yeah, yep. And what it is, I think the very first time we went there, we got second. So then your point average is good. So automatically you start in the back of the heat race and start 11th, 12th in the A feature. And so that, you're stuck back a ways. And, like you said, stuff happens quick, and sometimes there's no place to go.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, she's a tight little bull ring.
Every
Yeah,
once
it definitely is. I mean, that's what makes it exciting, right?
It does for us, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Not that you want people to get their cars tore up, but I mean,
No.
that's something that it makes the racing more exciting, I guess.
Yeah,
You know, there's that chance every time.
There's lap traffic right away is what makes it fun. It ain't, 3/4 of the race don't go by before you get the lap traffic. It's 3-4 laps tops.
Yeah. Yeah, which makes it a better race.
Yep.
And they always have a full field. That's what's nice. Well, all the classes generally have more than enough where they're running B features.
Yep.
So, yep.
Yep.
And Houston's is good about, if they got 21 or 22 cars, they'll run the extra car in the feature rather than trying to do a B feature to eliminate 1 or 2 cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because 20 cars are supposed to be generally the normal A feature limit on the race saver. But they must have a little leniency there.
Yeah, that
Which
or
makes sense.
maybe only the top 20 get points for the national thing. You could say maybe or something too. I don't know. Just a guess.
Yeah, I've never really asked on that. That could be. Yeah.
Maybe that's why they say there's a limit of 20 because that's all the points that will count. Maybe I don't know.
The other thing I like Houston's does, like one time a month they do pill redraws or something like that rather than making the best go automatically to the back.
Yeah. So Race Saver started that deal where all the tracks are allowed to do it once a month now. So Race Saver had rules, where it was point inversion, but yeah, so they do that at Hartford also at I-90.
Okay.
Yep, which is nice. Yeah, so yeah, you draw for your starting spot in your heat race, and then you draw again you have a redraw. Basically, the top. Usually, I think they did the top 12 in points, or top 12, for overall finish in the heat races.
Okay.
Yep.
Get a redraw that way for your A features. So if you draw bad for the heat, though, the way they did it, you didn't get passing points. So if you draw like starting 6th or 7th in the heat, and you only made it to 3rd, you weren't in the redraw. So I think they took top 2 in the heat races to make the redraw. So you had to work your butt off if you didn't draw very good for the heat race.
Yep.
And which is hard. It's hard to pass there in a heat race because the track is generally juiced up pretty good.
Yep. She's fast all over.
Yeah. Which the 410s really wear the track out in a hurry, so they gotta have it. They gotta have it heavier than most tracks at the start of the night, so that you're not having a rubber down track later.
Yep.
Yep.
That's the idea of it. Yep.
Yeah. And most tracks that you watch over the years, passing in the heat races is just hard anyhow because the competition is so good and even, or whatever you want to say, that it's if you're going to go 6th to 1st in a heat race, that don't happen a lot.
No, especially even in the 410 class you watch, and everybody's got equally good equipment anymore.
Yep.
Your top guys all have the best stuff you can buy.
Yep.
So it isn't like it used to be back in the days where you watch a Wolfgang come to the back of the front all the time, you know.
Yep.
So they're even in the race saver class. I mean, it is truly even. It reminds me more like you remember they used to have IROC where you're all supposed to have a full car.
Yep.
That's kind of what it reminds me of. I mean, it's really who could set up the car and just try to drive the car straighter and keep the momentum going because the motors can't wind up. So whoever can keep that motor wound up better generally does better.
That brings me back to my Mark Martin days, the IROC series. So.
There you go.
Where did you all go this year? Because the last 2 years, you've kind of, in order to get those 40 races in, you kind of went all over. You mentioned Eagle and Belleville, or however you say that. Where else? Because you kind of went North Dakota, Minnesota a little bit. Where'd you all go?
We did, yeah. We hit up a few because I knew I had to get at least that 20, and then with my DNFs, I knew I was like, well, now I got to add more shows to get rid of them. So we went down to, like you said, we went to Belleville, Kansas, and then that is actually the same weekend as 360 Nationals. So we weren't sure, and then I finally decided, we headed over to Oskaloosa, Iowa for the Front Row Challenge that Terry McCarl puts on. Because they have race savers as a sport class. So that's right after Belleville. So we leave there Saturday night. We leave there and start heading towards Oskaloosa, and then we stay over there and we watch the Capitani, and then Monday night we race at Oskaloosa, and then we end up winning that race. So that definitely helped. And that's pretty cool because that's televised. So anytime you're on dirt vision or flow, it always feels a lot neater.
Yeah. Yep.
So then we won that, and then we went up to North Dakota just once this year. My boy was going up there all the time, Bill in Waxville. And we went up there the one time for a 2-day show and screwed up the first race. We had the lead and ended up third. So we went dropped back to second, third, back to second, and then we lapped traffic and everything, and we ended up third on that deal. So I was kind of disappointed. And the next night we got tangled up at the start of a race, and I just didn't have the car right, and I screwed up at a little track, and I ended up 8th. So that was actually, I think that was our worst finish of the year that we actually finished. That being in an incident. So yeah. But yeah, they have a different. The tracks up north aren't much fun there. It's in my opinion. They start out their heat races where you're literally burning your tires. You're almost putting rubber down in the heat races, and then they go out and rework the track, and you have a better feature normally than you do for the heat race. Seems completely backwards than most of the tracks that we've ever raced at.
Yeah.
It's just the way they do it up there. And it's a different kind of clay. It just doesn't hold. You just don't have much grip. It just feels really slow, and most of the tracks are small. But yeah, and then trying to think where else we went. Eagle, obviously, like I said, the first 3 races at Eagle helped us out.
Did you go to Shelby at all? You went to Shelby, didn't you?
We did. Yeah, actually, I forgot. We went to Shelby and Harlan, Iowa right away.
Me and Joe went to that
race. So, yep. And then we went, Colby helped me. It was Colby Clausen. A couple races I did this year were strictly, he kind of talked me into it because he was willing. He's like, I'll help you. We could go. So we went Coos County in Iowa. So I picked him up, and just me and him went over there the one night and drew crappy. We did good in our heat race, and then I think we drew the 10 or 11 for the feature. And Trevor Service drew the front row, I remember, which is the one car I didn't want on the front. But we ended up getting up to second. We had a couple restarts right at the end when I got up to him with a few laps to go, and by the time I got the flag stand, he had 3-4 cars on me, so there's nothing I could really do. His motor took off better than mine. Yeah, I was hoping I could probably get that one, but we had a lot of seconds this year. We had 9 second place finishes, so yeah, the one place that sometimes kind of makes you feel bad that you finished there almost.
Yeah. So
you can see the win, you just didn't quite get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you had a big win up in Minnesota somewhere too, didn't you? A high dollar win.
Arlington, Minnesota was our last race of the year. Yep, and we were kind of flipping a coin on which one we should go to, either Jackson, Minnesota, or Arlington. Arlington was paying better, and we had such a good time at that track the year before. Same thing was our last race the year before, so we went up there. It was $4,500 to win, so that was really cool.
now,
Then that's the biggest payday we've had so far. Because in the race saver class, you just normally don't see pays like that.
yeah.
Sure.
Not around here, anyways.
How did that race go? You did heats and then you had to do a go-kart race or something and end up with rock, paper, scissors or something?
Yeah, how often do you get rewarded for being bad at driving the racetrack? I've never sat in one of them little go-karts before. You know, it's not like a go-kart like when you go to like a Thunder Road or something. It's you literally are laying down now in them little racing go-karts.
Yep.
So everybody up there, they grew up racing these things at Arlington. Service and Stein and the Johnsons and all these that are in the, so it's like instead of a redraw, they say, well, we got two little go-karts. We're just going to do a little time hot lap right on the front straightaway. We were doing a little tiny circle around barrels on the front straightaway. Wow. I kind of clipped the barrel and I spun the cart, so needless to say, my lap time is terrible. And so I was like, well, I screwed that up. And then so they want the fastest lap and the slowest lap to play rock paper scissors. Well, I was the slowest lap then, so I got to play rock paper scissors against Stein, the number 4 car, and end up winning rock paper scissors. So that inverted us by how we finished in the go-karts. Didn't really matter how we finished on the racetrack. It inverted how we finished on the go-karts. So therefore, I got to start on the pole of the feature.
Well, that's kind of cool, though.
It was cool. I mean, in the heat race, I had to earn the heat race. I don't remember because I had to win the heat race, and I actually started up front, but I was running second and had to pass the guy for the heat race. Otherwise, most of the heat races, nobody really did anything. So it was really cool. Starting on the pole, and actually we pulled the lead. And we were going through lap traffic real good, and there was 2 of them side by side, and so I slowed down to save my tires. I knew it was taking rubber, and so I kind of backed up, and I knew they were catching up to me, but I knew if they got to me, there's nowhere they could go.
Sure.
And you know that's what they said. They said that Trevor Service and I believe it was Bill Johnson both had caught up to the back of me there right before we got a caution with it was 6 to go.
Yeah, they were coming. You know, I was watching on my race pass, and I'm like, "Frickin' Lee, get going!"
Yeah. Well, like I said, there was 2 lap cars. One was trying to run middle to high, and the other one was on the bottom, and they would have a good corner, then they'd have a squirrely corner, and I'm like, I really don't need to get taken out again, and I knew I had a good enough car that I could push it if I had to, so I was just kind of maintaining, watching there to make sure that I didn't get taken out, and then as soon as we got that caution, then I knew I could go. I knew I had plenty of tire left because I'd been easy on it.
Yeah.
And so then we pulled a gap at the end by a couple seconds, but
Yeah.
I was trying to be smart after all them DNFs. It's just like, that just doesn't work out. It's nothing worse than going home when you knew you were going to, you had a good finish, especially when it's in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And then instead you're out there fixing the car so you can load it.
Yeah, that's always bad. Cause
and like I said, one of them was the same thing, lap car. I was impatient around a lap car, got too close to him and got taken out.
Yeah. And the go-karts, rock, paper, scissors, you mentioned the front row challenge down there with Terry McCarl's race, and they do a foot race to line up for the feature, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yep. Yeah. And that's what they're trying to do, just trying to find something more exciting for the fan.
Something different.
And it was definitely, like I said, it was definitely neat. It was something kind of exciting. And I mean, every time I've been there, everybody there is super nice. And the other racers are super nice. They're willing to help. Yeah. We had a little bit more adrenaline there because we had Brady Donahue just showed up. So he was in our pits all night, kind of hanging out more so. And then he would push me up and, any help that we needed, he would help out. Because otherwise it was just me and Jamie.
Yeah.
Jeez. You raced at Worthington in one of these what was that called? Sprint Bandit series or something like that, where you raced against 360s. But did you have a 360 in?
I did. Yeah. You talk about feeling like you got a rocket ship. Running that compared to 305. It was probably a 50-50 mix. But you could go by a 305 like it was shut down. It was pretty neat. Yeah. And that was another one. That was the other race that Colby talked me into going. We put a 360 in. I put it in that day, and would have been plenty on time. I'm never early.
No.
I would have been good to plenty of time, and the thing didn't run right, so I was nervous about it. It was one that we just had done. Cressman had did it, and it just wouldn't run quite right. All the cylinders weren't firing right. Sounded really rough, so I kept working on it, and it was getting later and later. I finally got it running good, and I look at the clock, and I think it was 5 o'clock or something. It was late. And I called Colby, and I said, hey, I don't know, it's awful late. I said, I can still go if you're willing, if you want to go. He said, yeah, we'll go down there. He said, we'll check you in. And then when you get there, he said, we'll just, we'll immediately unload and get ready. Well, by the time I got there, they were already on the middle of the first heat race for the sprint cars. And I was lined up in the third heat race. So So they let me, because Colby asked them, they let me just pull in. I literally pulled in right past the pit gate. We dropped the door, and them guys, I just gave them a right rear. They put the right rear tire on and threw 5 gallons of fuel in it, and I changed quick. And the motor was still warm because I had it running here right before I put it in the trailer. So I hopped in the car, and I never even seen this racetrack yet. So I hopped in the car, and just from the interstate, but they pushed me up there, and I barely made the heat race. The other cars all running. They get me on the track, get me started. I'm literally hooking up my Simpson safety device and everything to my helmet after my car's running. I'm still putting my gloves on and hooking my helmet up as we're going around to take the green. It was about as close as you could be and still make the race.
I would say. You're lucky you didn't get behind me.
It turned out, it was really good. The car, I was impressed. I was like, man, the motor ran amazing. And I guess we had a pretty good lead. Kobe and Terry Cahoon, the one that builds Kobe's motors, came with us. And we won that thing by a ways, I guess, is what they told me. And go to the scale, and they tell me you're 11 pounds light. I was like, you're kidding me, right? It's like, oh my gosh, is there any kind of leeway? So they're like, well, they rolled it off, they rolled it back on, and then we were 12 pounds light. So they said, well, just roll around, come back on so you're more centered. So we rolled around, came back, 11 pounds light. It's like, so I was DQ'd from the heat race. So that took our chance for the win for the night, for the most part. So we started last in the B, I think like 21st or something, we ended up second in the B. And then in the A feature, we tried tightening it up, and the track the humidity came up, the track got heavier, and we were way too tight.
Okay.
Every time I get on the gas, it'd roll up on the right side, and want to keep carrying a wheelie. Yeah. So we ended up, I don't remember what we got, 5th, I think.
It was,
like that.
Yeah, it was still a fun night. Crazy.
So it was a blast. People in the B said it looked amazing, but I was like, a lot of the cars in the B were 305.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you could the corner speed that I had was so much better, and then you could just fly by them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was pretty neat, considering driving compared to the 305 that you're driving most of the time. Like I said, it felt a lot quicker, and that track is small, so it gave you a power feel almost more like the 410 in a way because it's a smaller track.
Yeah, because that's a tiny little track. Ain't that like a quarter mile or something? It's a little short track.
It's got to be just a quarter mile, yeah.
When's the last time you raced the 360?
Oh, geez, it's been like probably 3 years.
I was gonna say.
I-90.
I was gonna say it's been a while.
So we did double duty with them, with that but it was a 360 that was an older 360 that was on the should have been freshened. I just kept running it. Yeah. So it didn't have this one. It does run really good. Like I said, it's one that Gerald Cressman built, and it runs strong. So, and then when you gear it for a quarter mile, it makes it even feel stronger yet.
So, you crashed one night at Rocky, and then how did you straighten the frame?
Oh man, that was dumb. That was actually wasn't even a points night. The season was over, so we already had the championship. So that probably is what my mindset went back to. All I cared about was just winning the race thing. So I had nothing to lose, and we had just finally got up to 3rd, and we were gaining on the leader. I seen the leader go out the backstretch, which was Brandon Bosma, and so he lost a ton of ground. So I realized I was close, and we were running out of laps, and I was like, I can catch him then. So I started pushing harder. And I had to run to the bottom because service was on top, and I clipped the tractor tire trying to pick up a few tenths on. I was trying to figure out how I could gain a little speed. I clipped the left front on the tractor tire harder than hell. The first one I scraped it pretty good, moved the tractor tire I knew, and I was like, I think the car might be okay. So I stayed in the throttle was the problem. So when I stayed in it, well, it wasn't okay. It bent the drag link and the tie rods. That left front tire, I'm sure, was sticking to the left, and it just went right into that next one, and then it was game over. So it bent the torsion tube in the front of the frame. So we got a couple forklifts. I tied it to the forklift. They got heavy steel rims on them, so I tied it to the steel rim of the forklift and then used a side shift to keep pulling on the frame. So I just kept moving it a little at a time until I could get it toward the torsion bars would spin again. So it wasn't perfect, but and then I took a reamer and just reamed them out, but yeah. So it worked out all right.
Because you won the next night with it, right?
Next night we went back and won with it. So I was like, well, that ain't too bad. Needless to say, that torsion bar, the ones that were in there had to get thrown away because they were all bent. They were bowed. And they're like a spring spring steel, so you don't
Yeah.
even mess with them. And I just grabbed a couple off the shelf that had written on them, crash. They were from a crash earlier in the year, crashed in where it was at, like June of 25. I was like, well, these are ones I don't think are much good, but I threw them in there just to throw something in there for the next night. Lo and behold, car actually handled, I think, better the second night than the first night.
Just loosened up the frame a little bit for you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
You know, and I
man.
had to put a different front end together and everything else, but
Yeah.
so it's pretty much everything from the radiator forward, the front end, the front wing, the frame, you know, everything was, yeah. Because when I squared up when I hit that second tractor tire, it's amazing. You'd think they'd be softer now, but
Yeah.
they do quite a bit of damage. But luckily, I didn't end up on my lids, so
Yeah.
yeah, so I was kind of lucky that way. But
What?
that's one of them nights again. I could have had two good finishes, and being impatient.
Yeah. Had one.
Yeah, yep. Because I would have been at least second, but no.
What, you know, you're a two-time national champ now. Tell us a little bit. I was down there, so I could do it, but I want you to, you know, what do you get for winning? What is the ceremony or whatever you want to call it, the banquet, all like down there? It's top notch.
It is, yeah. It's a lot better. I mean, it's not what I expected when you think IMCA, you know. So it was really classy. It's a black tie affair. So they rent tux for every driver that goes with it. So all your points champions are all in tuxes, and all your like rookie of the years are in tux. And then everybody you're supposed to dress up in order to be able to come to it. But it's a big ballroom with the chandeliers and the nice fancy tables, and it's at the Cornhusker Marriott. So like I said, it's a really neat deal. The first night, the Friday night before the banquet, everybody gets to go to American Museum of Speed, which is owned by Speedway.
That's
that place
cool
is
too,
really
by the
cool.
way.
If a person hasn't been there, you need to go there if you ever get to Lincoln.
And give yourself the whole day.
It is, yeah. It's much bigger than I ever thought, and the stuff they got there is just amazing.
If
Yeah.
not 2
I
days.
couldn't even imagine what a facility like that's going to cost to have or maintain.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Insane.
Bob
So
Wayne, we got to
that
have
was
on the
really
show
cool.
yet too.
So they have little, beverages and kind of hors d'oeuvres for us the night before there, and then the next night is your banquet, and that's a full meal. And then what they do is they have the awards where basically just, they have everybody gets to walk across the stage. Top 10, if you go, you get to walk across stage and get recognized, get your awards or whatever you earned. And then the points champions, you have to give a little speech. And they prefer to keep it a little short. I'm not that great at speaking. I don't like standing in front of a crowd speaking, so that makes the first, that I actually get nervous for, so it's like a relief when that part's over for me. But no, it's really cool. You end up with, so they give you a check. Top 10 points, I'll get a check from IMCA. And for winning it, last year was $5,000 is what I got a check for. And then you get contingency stuff on top of that. So like a steering gear, I'm actually still waiting on that. KSC gets the steering gear, but I haven't got it yet. So that's what last time I talked to him was a few weeks back, and I was just going to tell him, I was like, you might as well just send me two.
Yeah.
Like, but I didn't say nothing, but it's like, geez, guys. Yeah. You get a steering gear, you get a seat from Turkey, kind of whoever puts up contingencies.
Yeah.
Lots of the suits, you get their pro suit, which is their nicest suit, custom-made suit by them. But they give you, from IMCA, I get a ring, a customized ring that way with your name on it and stuff for champion. And then they do a helmet, which is more like a display helmet. It's an actual helmet, but more of a kind of a basic helmet. But they wrap it to match your car with the name and number and everything on it. So that looks really cool. Yeah, just a bunch of little contingency stuff. Some money off some shocks, parts at different places, a couple little parts. They put us up in a room, and there's a little box in the room when you walk in from Speedway with a little gift card and a few, just kind of some goodies, a koozie and mud scrapers and little stuff, from Speedway. So that's kind of neat when you walk in. So no, it's definitely enjoyable. It's something, makes you feel like you earned something.
Yeah.
It'll definitely make you feel appreciated, like you accomplished something.
Absolutely.
I got to ask, did Jamie get a new outfit for last year?
Yeah, she bought a dress, so she wears a dress that way, so she looks real nice when we go. And she's already already was just showing me pictures today where she's looking for another dress for
I was
this
gonna
year.
say she's got to get
She
a
can't
new
wear the
shit.
same thing twice, you know.
No,
Well,
well,
she-
for sure it's not at the same event.
It sounds like she's got up to $5,000 to spend on it.
Ouch!
Maybe she's not listening. Maybe she's not listening.
Oh, I'm just kidding.
No, I've been playing carpenter here for the last 2 weeks. So another buddy of ours that we've been building her a deck on the pool she had us put in last year.
Oh,
So
well,
that was something I was supposed to do all summer. So,
How's that going? Is it about done?
well, I got it all framed, but then she wants this fancier. It's PVC instead of a composite. It's a deck board that you got to order. Nobody stocks it. So now that sounds like that's a couple weeks. Well, we should have that on order before we finished, I guess. But,
yeah. Could be
so
cold
it's
in a
all
couple
done. We're
weeks.
waiting for the floor to be put on now.
Oh, at least you got her part done.
Yeah, the hard part's done.
Yeah.
Make sure that stuff can be worked on in the cold, because in 2 weeks it could be chilly up here.
Yeah, at least if we don't get it on, I guess it ain't gonna hurt it the way it is right now.
Now, you're not going to use it much anymore, that's for sure.
No, the problem is it's always easier for me to work on it now than it is in spring.
That's
It seems
right.
Like racing season comes up pretty quick. As soon as the weather gets nice, there's races going on. Yeah, everything gets busy in the spring. It seems like.
Yeah.
What are you thinking for next year? Are you thinking going for number 3, or you know? I have no idea what your plans are. So, and maybe you have no idea what your plans are. But what are you thinking?
I think maybe they're trying to do more 410 stuff.
Okay.
So honestly, I actually just purchased a motor the other day. So we got a motor more like what I've been wanting. So I'm more excited about that. So we'll have a couple 410 motors that'll both be better motors than what we've had. So that'll be definitely a plus. That was our big downfall in the 410 stuff, was having something competitive. And then the one we have is getting pretty wore out. So
Yeah.
everything gets pretty much done. Needs to be freshened, and it was an older motor that we had, so it was definitely quite a ways underpowered. I mean, we were on average 100 horsepower short of where we should have been from what guys are running. And just because that's the style of heads it had on it, nobody's run for years.
Yeah, isn't that like a old Kerry Madsen motor or something from a long time ago?
It was, yeah, yep. And it was one of them. It probably wasn't their best motor, but that's the last team it was on was the old Canaric Racing team, the 29 car that Kerry Madsen drove way back, 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, based out of Knoxville area there.
Yep.
Yep, that's where it came from. And the people that actually owned it they owned American Racing Wheels, which was a sponsor he had way back when. It was one that had been sitting at their place for like 7, 8 years since it was freshened.
Jesus.
So when I bought it, it had been sitting for 7, 8 years since it had been freshened.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, Lee. Jamie's listening. She said we got a big yes for Bud's comment on what she can spend.
Oh, I was going to say, hopefully she didn't hear that comment. Huh?
Well, I'm assuming that's what the yes is, because
Nice.
just guessing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jamie and I have always gotten along well.
She's liking you even more now, Bud. You might be her new favorite.
Oh.
Yeah, you guys definitely earned a brownie point for Jamie.
Oh.
Shoot.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just basically gonna run 410, so probably a little bit next year. But we got just a few questions here. The wife Ann come up with some new questions for the second time. We won't get them all for you because we're already running long. But what would you call your best moment so far in racing? Do you have one that really stands out?
I would say the one that still stands out the most is 2023, when I never won a points championship at Huset's, and we were behind by, I think, 1 point going into the last race. And so our son Dylan was actually working for Ryan Timms that year on the 5T car, and he was in Oklahoma, and Ryan happened to not be racing that weekend, so Dylan drove overnight on Saturday night, because I think they'd raced Friday. He drove through the night to get here on Sunday to help me on Sunday, and we ended up winning that race, and then won the points by, I think, 1 point.
Yep.
And so that was really cool. The fact that he came up here just for that, to help me for that night, and then we ended up winning it. And the first thing he did when I got in the car, I was in the car, and he leans in and he says, "You want to climb the fence?" And so we ended up climbing the fence. And like I said, it just meant a lot because he'd always told me that he was going to climb. First time he ever won, saving it, he wanted to climb the fence for the first time he ever won at Houston's. And so the fact that he asked me to do it, and he hadn't actually actually won, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
Because
absolutely.
I could tell it meant quite a bit to him. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that was the one that stands out the most to me, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't the biggest win, but like I said, it just meant more.
I guess I couldn't even answer this one if somebody asked me that, but do you have an unusual routine before the races? Is there any certain things you have to do before the race starts?
No, I mean, as I was younger, I used to be more superstitious on that stuff. Now I really don't have any kind of routine. Yeah. I think as long as I'm I notice my nights that I do the best is when I'm just having a good time, just screwing around with the people that help us, you know, our friends that are, you know, some of our pit or just even like the people around us. Yeah. Where I'm not really, I mean, I'm still focused on the racing, making sure the car's right, but I'm just having a good time, so I'm not thinking about what I got to do in the car and stuff, and I just go out there and have fun. Then I always have the best results.
I would say your routine is to be the last car on the track.
Well, I start to the track a lot of times. Yeah, we talk about that all the time. They're like, yeah, we know when you get here that everybody's here.
How about we got
A lot of times people are like, well, we just figured you weren't coming.
Yeah. You never know that for sure until the races have started. But heck, I guess at Worthington they'd started and you weren't there. So, couple more.
That was definitely not like that. That was a little past normal.
Yeah, that's past normal.
Couple more, and then we'll let you go, Lee. How about a hidden talent? You got anything that nobody knows? I mean, are you a great singer in the shower or anything, or what do you got? You got any hidden talents we don't know about?
Singing, no. I can't sing. I can't dance. I'm really not good at sports. So I don't know. I don't know what you can say. I mean, Jamie says I can fix about anything. She says, but I think that's just because she always comes up with stuff, and I'm too stubborn to pay somebody to fix stuff. So I figure out a way to fix it. Other than that, no. I mean, that's about it. I just work on stuff.
Yep.
And try to make things work. But other than that, I don't have much for not what you call a talent.
Okay.
You know,
nothing that anybody want to see.
the new, you know, a lot of these big time race groups have, you know, these high tech shocks. They, you know, do all these things. Lee goes to his bucket, grabs the shock, and pulls it in and out, and like, nope, I don't want that one. And he goes to the next one, and he's like, yep, that's the one I'm looking for. I'm telling you, that's your hidden talent. That's your hidden talent. Nobody else can do it like you there, Lee.
Oh, speaking of, you should have seen when we were at Arlington, that very last race. So Brady Donahue, he sold his 305, and he's there helping us. And we're parked next to Owen Carlson, and him and Owen Carlson work together. So they're good friends. And so that was pretty humorous. But after the race was over, he's taking Owen in there. He's like, you got to see this. And he's going through my mule, and he's going through the trailer. He's like, you got to see how many shocks this guy's got. And he's like, they're in buckets, and they're on the wall, and they're like all over the place. I'm like, you got to understand, I buy these things. Like, I got some from Dover. I think I got 40 shocks for a few $100. And Dover didn't know if any of them were good or about any of them. He just got them to buy them. And they're just some random old shocks. So I've been using them. So you don't know what they are. I'm too stubborn to pay somebody to dyno them. So I just sit there and it gives me kind of a one-in idea of what the dyno would be. And the 305 doesn't react real quick, so it kind of works.
There you go. I'm just
telling
telling.
Most of the tracks I run, everything I run at Rock Rapids and I-90 anyways is strictly that. And anything I ran around here, I did put on nicer shocks when I went to Belleville. And then at Arlington, I did put on nicer shocks because it was paying more. And it does help having the higher price shocks. I will give it that. The car's a lot smoother on a big track with the nicer shocks.
Colby says you're a good swimmer. You're good at swimming.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we were supposed to be going on vacation this year, and we didn't do it. But last year we went to Punta Cana.
Well, it's a good thing you're not in Jamaica right now.
That's the ironic part, is that's what we were thinking of, going someplace different. Jamaica would have been one of them that we were thinking of.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Good thing we didn't have tickets for that, because I don't know how that would work, because it would have been like January when we would have been going. Well, there might not be much left of the
No, it don't sound good for them, that's for sure.
No, especially the people if you're stuck there. What do you do?
Yeah. They were interviewing somebody from North Carolina or something today on the news. They were stuck in their hotel room.
No.
Waiting to see what's left.
What do you do too? And then you're nervous. You're not really, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
What do you got? You
got one more, then we're going to quit, Lee. What's the best part about being a race car driver?
Best part about being a race car driver?
Yep.
Oh, I don't know. I guess it's just, to me, it's just trying to outsmart everybody else, both with the car and winning. I guess it's, I don't even know. I mean, when you were younger, you just want to drive the thing. Now it seems like the biggest thrill is trying to make sure, you know, that you win at the end of the night.
Here I thought it was going to be the great people he's met along the way, but hey.
Honestly, that's where, you know, we're the last person to the racetrack, but we're probably the last person that ever leaves the racetrack
Oh,
every night.
every
We
time.
like I said, we really enjoy the company we have when we're there, and then when it's over, it's just relaxing, and we get to hang out with all of our friends. Honestly, my closest friends are all from the racetrack.
Yeah.
So everybody, like I said, when we went out of town, like I said, we went to Dominican last year and stuff too, is Jared Jensen and Colby Clausen. I mean, like I said, everybody's from the racetrack.
Yep.
Heck, I would have never met you guys.
No, probably not. So, but it's been a lot of fun since we've got to know you. We've enjoyed it. So,
Yeah, it's a blast. No, I really enjoy you guys.
Yeah.
Just the excitement you guys bring. Yeah. Some nights I'm kind of down, and you guys still, like I said, you guys are having fun. So it just changes a guy's mood.
we're trying.
Kind of like when I listened to you interview Ryan Sims. He said he was kind of down there before Knoxville, and he just kind of hung out with Dylan, and it got him in a better mood.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just funny how some things.
That's all it is. Mindset is more than anything, I think, when you're driving the thing.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Absolutely. The mind has a lot to do with everything. Not just
If
racing,
you're not
but
having fun, it's just hard to get into it and
Yep.
make it happen.
yep.
All right.
So, all right. Well, we're gonna let you go, Lee. We really appreciate that. I'll see you at the banquet, I believe, down in Lincoln. We're planning on that, but we're not gonna make it to the postseason party. We already had plans lined up. So,
Oh, yep. It was just hard to make that work with plans with
oh yeah.
stuff that we had to do.
You just got to pick a day.
Absolutely. You got to pick a day and
If
go.
you try to get it so everybody can come, you'll never have it.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, last year we didn't have it, and everybody, you'd be surprised how many people asked me that, why we weren't having it or when we're having it. Yeah.
So-
Well, apparently that was popular, so we thought we better do that again.
Yeah. Well, it's the food.
Yeah.
Jamie makes it or who makes it, but
It's Jamie.
I like food
It's
and
Jamie, and nobody ever complains.
oh
No.
my gosh, it
we,
is
we
amazing.
like to eat. You should see our bar sitting here right now. We got
Oh.
crap piled up on there, chips and this and that. And
Oh shit!
Yeah.
I gotta clean our bar. There's way too
Everybody
much.
loves her food. The only person that doesn't is Jamie herself all the time.
yeah,
For some reason, she's always thinking she didn't do it right or didn't taste right. But everybody else tells her it's great.
Yeah, that's just because she wants sushi.
See,
She's
see,
making food for us, and she really wants to go eat sushi.
yeah. Well, she can.
Well, she knows that won't work with most everybody else.
No, nobody's going with her. Of course, I was at the sushi bar once this year with the daughter, but they could do the hibachi thing too, so they were cooking mine.
Yeah.
Didn't you send us a picture they had sushi at the racetrack?
Yeah, where were you that time?
You were out in PA?
Maybe. I don't remember.
Street or something.
Yeah, he was. I know
I
what you're
was
talking
somewhere.
about, and Tobe doesn't even freaking remember,
No.
and he was there.
I'll have
so.
to ask Ann when I get home. She'll
Yeah.
remember.
All right. Well, you have a great night, Lee. Thanks so much for coming on, and congrats being on two-time national champ.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, we actually picked up the 2 track championships too.
Yeah,
we never did mention that with Rocky and
both
Hartford.
Rocky and I-90, so that
Yep.
was pretty cool.
absolutely. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
All right.
Thanks again, guys.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Take care, Lee. We'll talk to you later.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
You'll make her there, bud.
Hey, that race is long.